Hi, welcome. I'm Jeanette, the North Dawn Coach. If you have found yourself maybe on more than one occasion reaching Sunday evening and feeling that horrible sense of anxiety and dread, like something really uncomfortable in the pit of your stomach when you think about, tomorrow brings another work week ahead. And if you are the person who's had 10, 15, 20, 25 years of a career of ups and downs, but by and large, career success, it has been the kind of story where you have met and exceeded the expectations, the goals that you set for yourself in this maybe one institution or organization that you've been a part of, or maybe multiples. But for whatever reason, at this point in your career, you find yourself thinking about the work week ahead and just dreading it. And in this particular circumstance, if the dread is centered around your experience of your direct manager, and you're starting to wonder, well, okay, has my performance dropped? Is there something wrong with me? Am I no longer good at my job? What I want to offer to you today is that is not the case. As much as you might feel that instead you are suffering with a toxic manager. Even cases where the manager relationship, like initially might have been a good one, maybe a good one for a while, but for whatever set of circumstances, it's now a toxic manager that you're dealing with there, not an issue of your own performance. And I just want to talk through some of this and then what you can do about it, because this is a significant issue. So I think I want to start by saying that what is particularly precarious and really dangerous about this particular point in time to be having this crisis of confidence is it hits particularly hard at this stage of your career. You're not brand new and learning something at the start of your career. In fact, you've had this long history of success. And so the magnitude of the feelings of incompetence and doubt, this crisis of confidence, are particularly significant at this particular point in time. And how does it show up? Well, from my own experience, the experience of my clients, many of them having been in these sorts of circumstances, some of the little ways that the toxicity starts to become apparent are little things, although they're not little, but things like, you've been left off of some key email, like your manager isn't including you there. You find that you're getting critiques and needing to revise work that you have successfully done for many, many years. So there's nothing new about it, but now the way that your manager is interacting with you, it's like the nitpicking, on the dotting the I, crossing the T sorts of things that is really not material to the work itself. It's a matter of preference. And so all of a sudden you're under the microscope on those sorts of issues. Or maybe not not all of a sudden. Maybe it's a gradual sort of thing until you wake up and wait, how did I get into these circumstances? Another sign that things are shifting into this toxicity is this idea of, okay, you try to get the expectations straight, the goals set with your manager, set those expectations so that you can achieve them. And then you work toward that. And as soon as you think you're reaching the goalpost, it starts to change, it moves. So it's a constantly shifting thing, which then erodes your confidence in your ability to do that. So the result is all these little parts and pieces that are sort of eaten and eroded away. It starts to erode at your own confidence. And so you start to wonder in your gut, like, am I really capable? Can I do this? And hence we're at the story of Sunday evening, thinking with dread around the week ahead. So here's a couple of things I want to offer in terms of signs. It's your manager, not your confidence. And one that I just mentioned is this idea of the moving target. So if you're clear about what the expectations are and you work towards them and you're working to meet them, and then the expectations change, that's not an issue of your competence. Like, are you supposed to be a mind reader or somebody who can read the tea leaves on all of these things? Somebody who's always thinking way in advance and can project? No, of course that's not incompetence. That's an unrealistic expectation that you can be shifting and so forth. And yet it's sort of in a gaslighting way put on you as an expectation that you could be able to, predict the future and be ahead of it. Another sign that it's your manager and not you is that sense of, like, remember I said maybe being left off of emails, maybe not being included. So that sense of being set up in isolation, which only compounds as an issue, because the more that you feel like, oh, it's me, I'm incompetent, the less confident that you feel around talking to others on your team to kind of touch base and see, get another opinion on that. And so you're sort of being systemically isolated in those situations, so that you don't feel safe to talk to others, to do a gut check on that, and you're not included as well. Another indicator of not your own issues of competence or incompetence, but that it's your manager, is kind of that micromanaging, where there's so much focus on not the 99.9% that you got right, but the 0.10 that's missing. So just this hyper fixation on that. And so when you really can step away and look at it from a healthier perspective, which is hard when you're in the midst of this, right? You lack the perspective to be able to do that now. And when you can see, there's a critical difference here in how my manager is behaving in this situation. Good managers can be tough managers, and they're tough to make you better at what you're doing. But a toxic manager is tough in a way that's all about addressing their own fears. It's not to benefit you, but it's about whatever their situation is that's so toxic. So there's a critical difference there. So enough on the awfulness of the problem and kind of checking, is it the problem? What can you do about it? Well, a couple of actions here to really stop kind of the emotional bleeding around this is work on what I call kind of a career receipts activity. So in a safe space, not on your work computer, but in a place where, this is confidential to you, really do an audit of before your manager was on the scenes. What would you say were those top successes? From your colleagues' perspective, what would they say about you prior to the arrival of the manager? So the idea here is to get a set of data that you can really look at separate from the arrival of the toxic manager into the situation. That's a good place then to start to get a little bit more data, objective data, that can help to disengage from how you're feeling in the current moment. We can take that data then, this is good work that you can do on the kind of the audit, taking a look at all of those successes, that when the time's right, we can look at how do we utilize that for the moving on, the moving out, etc. But for right now, we want to just gather that as kind of the contrast to what you emotionally feel in that moment of Sunday Scaries. All right, if it would be helpful to you to have a objective career coach sit with you for, a free, consultation session around this, I'm happy to offer that to you. I will put the link in the description box so you can take me up on that complimentary offer. Feel for you. It is difficult. It is heart-wrenching to be in these circumstances, and at the same time, there's hope. All right, thanks for joining me today, and have a good week ahead, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.